the promotion of, on a national level, the historic Black college. But there is a return, there is a exodus, if you will, from the status quo college community back to the historically Black college as a way to say, you know what, we're going to put our dollars and our pursuit for education where it needs to be.
Mhm.
And for me, I understand from a historical perspective, and someone would need to correct me if I'm wrong, but the only reason why people stopped going in large numbers to historically Black colleges was because we weren't afforded the privilege of jobs, because those colleges were not seen, even though we know that's not the case, they were not seen as viable institutions of learning. So people had to figure out how to get to these other institutions just to be able to get employment to provide for their families. But now that that's not an issue anymore, now we're seeing people celebrate the experience of going back to the historically Black college. At least that's how I've understood it. And then the last one, remain committed to the course of advancing civil rights, which we kind of talked a little bit about that today. What do you think about that? Those last two, strengthening Black institutions and remaining committed to the cause of advancing civil rights.
So, as a proud graduate of a HBCU, shout out Morgan State University and Bowie State University. Sorry, I had to get that in. Um, also, historically, have been underfunded. Okay. And so I know here in Maryland, there had been a push to get some of the, not just, money's due, but back due to be able to do that. And I am so proud when, my children are getting older to be able to do some college tours. And as you see these HBCU campuses that are doing wonderful things, that still also, not just the ones that are state funded, but also that the alumni, that we are stepping up and supporting our own university, because yes, there is definitely where we want to make sure that we are getting what we're due as far as the state schools and private donations and things like that, but also when I think Dr. King was saying support that, I have 2 degrees from university, and then what am I doing to support, to maintain those universities and those institutions and supporting them as well, I think is also important, because they're doing amazing things, have turned out PhDs, and we know for years have provided a learning experience that has produced PhDs and exceptional leaders across this country, and will continue to do so. But I think when Dr. King was telling us to support these Black institutions, yes, he was talking colleges, but he was also talking, Black banks. And
Yes.
putting money together. And so when we talk about, Black owned, we're talking about every different arena being able to do that. And I think we still have work to do in those areas to be able to say it's cute to say I'm doing a lot of shopping on Amazon because it's
Mm-hmm.
easy and it's quick. But, what am I also doing economically to support my own community is also a question I think we all have to ask ourselves.
Yeah, even when you asked earlier about maintaining unity, I think that kind of speaks to that. And I think we're all in our own way trying to find our way, right? Where we fit in this helping to advance the message of civil rights and social
Mhm.
justice. Like, what part do I play? Where do I feel myself lending a voice and hand? And I think the way Eugene always talked about it, he was a fireman. So he felt like he was on the wall responsible to be a voice to the wilderness about what's going on in the fire service.
Mhm.
And he would always say, Colin, you're a teacher. You on that wall talking about what's going on in the field of education. If everybody just became a voice for where they were in their profession or in their community, then that's how we get the message out. And sometimes the challenge is, right, because you're seeing what's going on, feeling overwhelmed because there are so many issues. And so sometimes we don't get involved, not because we don't care or we're indifferent, but the moment I get involved, then something else happens. And before you know it, you're just overwhelmed and you kind of shut down because of the reality of everything that's happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so Dr. King's words, and I would love to end our show with just another short clip of his sermon to kind of take us out. But, what are your closing words again about this mountaintop and then mountaintop in 2021? The time is always right to do what is right.
So he said, let us rise up with a greater readiness, stand with a greater determination, and let us move on in these powerful days, these days of challenge to make America what it ought to be. We have an opportunity to make America a better nation. And later on in that speech, he talked about the fact that a man can't ride your back unless it is bent. And I do believe as a people, that's what we're still doing, right? The struggle of making sure that we straighten our backs. Mm-hmm. And I think the Derek Chauvin murder of George Floyd was another instance where we were deciding, no, we're not going to allow our backs to be ridden a proverbial knee on the neck. So we want to thank everybody who came and listened to us and allowed us to share. As always, we appreciate the privilege and opportunity to make use of this platform, to be a voice for the village. And we also appreciate our sponsors, Karen McConnell Jones, Dr. Sharon Porter, Vision and Purpose Lifestyle Magazine and Media. We couldn't do it without you. Shauna, thank you as always being my co-host.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Take care, everybody, and God bless you. And we look forward to seeing you a few months from now as we transition into our new home where we will
be live. Yeah, we'll be live. We'll hear more about that soon. Yes.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you for joining Village Talk Podcast with hosts Cortland Jones and Shauna Felton King. Village Talk is a VMP media production. Join us every second and fourth Sunday at 4:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a new episode. Village Talk, highlighting the views and voices of the community.